hosting us, Dr. ESEZA and I. Thank you so much for hosting us. Good evening, everybody, and welcome to our session this afternoon. And I won't actually take a lot of time. My name is Margaret Amulavu, and Fred and I, and our guest this evening, we are in the same health and wellness business. And today we are very privileged to be hosting Dr. ESEZA NAMBASI. I will actually just do a brief intro and allow Dr. ESEZA to talk to us, because I want to give her as much time as we can afford. And I want to say that Fred and I have been involved in this for the last 25 years, myself 24, and Dr. ESEZA has been involved for the last 25 years. I met Dr. ESEZA through this business, and I'm always forever grateful for the power of association that this business gives us. A brief just about Dr. ESEZA. Dr. ESEZA is a Ugandan but based in South Africa. She'll tell us how she came to be there. And she is a medical doctor who is passionate, who is believes in what we do, and just has got a drive for health and wellness. And I am just so excited that we are hosting her today. I want to tell us those on the call, if you don't have a pen and paper, please get one. And Dr. ESEZA, welcome, and you will tell us about yourself. And our session this evening is about choices, that the choices we make, especially to do with our health, have got long-lasting effects, and how you and I, after this session today, can actually be able to avoid chronic diseases. We want to help people to live a longer, healthier life. So Dr. ESEZA, if you can hear me, welcome, and we really appreciate you for accepting our invitation this evening. Welcome, Dr. ESEZA. Thank you.
Unmute. Can you hear me now? Okay.
Yes, we can. We can hear you.
Awesome.
Thank you.
Okay, so I see there are a few guests waiting to come in, but I will now try my best not to look at that panel and instead focus on the job at hand. Good afternoon, everybody. My name is ESEZA NAMBASI. I am a medical doctor by training. I love to say that by passion, absolute passion, I am in this amazing family called Neolife, and I'm a very active member of the Neolife family, basically because I love what it stands for, and I love what it has made me into. And now, just as a way of introduction, I'm talking about the power of choice. But you know, before one can make a choice, one has to have some knowledge, and one has to have some learning. So I found this amazing proverb. Initially, I'd read it in the another version, the New King James Version, but in the Message, it puts it very nicely. Wise men and women are always learning, always listening for fresh insights. And you know, if you are teachable and willing to learn, you should be in a position to ask why. And I have this saying that one should stop outsourcing your health. We should all stop outsourcing our health to other people, other systems, and endeavor to become your own best doctor. That is a tall order, considering I studied medicine. I went to medical school from the year 1980 through to 1985. I was privileged and blessed to cruise through medical school without even a supplementary, which is actually quite funny and amazing, because I kicked and screamed about doing medicine. You know, I was registered for medical education because the rationale by those registering me were that we need doctors, and we need brilliant people to be doctors. But I was wanting to do something else, and I forever marvel and laugh at God's sense of humor. I wanted to do biochemistry and physiology, and then later specialize in research of human nutrition. And in fact, I could have picked any one of 5 British universities. One particular one had given me admission and were willing to take me even in those difficult circumstances. You have to understand that Uganda at the time was going through a lot of trouble, and it was impossible to get a single pound out of the central bank. It was just for a few privileged people. So yeah, with a very heavy heart, I had to let go of my dream. And I traveled from where I was at the time. I happened to have been in Nairobi at the time after Form 6, because I did my O-level year and A-levels in Kenya. Having left Uganda in my O-level year to take refuge. And that year was the year that our dictator that we had at the time had gone berserk, and life and limb were in danger, so our family left the country. And so, yeah, Kenya was very, very good to us, but we didn't live there all the time that we were out of the country. But I must tell you that because of having had education in Kenya, all my very good friends, a lot of my very good friends are in Kenya, in Nairobi. And I'm actually very much in touch with them. I'm hoping that some of them may have logged on to this call. So yes, thank you for inviting me again. And I love to say that I like to help people to shift focus from sickness to wellness. My brand is Simply Healthier. And I stand by my brand because I feel that being healthy should not be rocket science ever. And it isn't, if you know and you have the correct knowledge. And that's what our opportunity affords us. Right, as regards choice, I think we have to learn to choose. It's something that is an intentional activity. You have to learn to choose correctly. And as I said, with a bit of knowledge, you get better at it. This doctor said that what you find at the end of your fork is more powerful than anything you'll ever find at the bottom of a pill bottle. And I presume he was talking about pharmaceutical drugs. So I have a few questions for you as we lay foundation to what I'm about to teach on. Have you ever wondered at the rise in all those things, anxiety and depression and other mood disorders, digestive disorders, childhood obesity? It is becoming a major issue. Attention deficit and hyperactivity disorder, and the autism spectrum, and a lot of other things. I didn't have enough space to add autoimmune diseases, but those are what we would say a dime a dozen. They're so common, okay? So have you ever wondered at the rise in all those things? So that is, again, my personal hashtag, ask why. Ask why these things are happening. So it stands for always seek knowledge. What hurts you? Always seek knowledge. What heals you? And I must say that my association with Neolife has showed me a lot about what can both hurt and heal. And then that's where you need to make choices. So now, I believe there is a huge missing piece of the puzzle in our day-to-day living. And that is this. How many people actually pause and read labels? Well, that's how my story starts with Neolife. A long time ago, I had young children and I was looking for good cleaning products. Cleaning, yes, cleaning products, because I was totally dissatisfied with what I was getting in the stores. Totally, to the point where I reached a point of saying, you know, I'm not coming shopping anymore because I've tried all the detergents and they do not work. Why? Because I had been reading labels. Now, with my medical education, I took it a step further and had been reading packet inserts as well for the medications that we were trained to dish out. And I must tell you, I just wasn't happy. I was not happy at all. So in my frustration, I prayed for an answer, and the answer came. And it came as a question. If I were to show you a way to make an extra income, would you be interested? And that's how we were introduced to Neolife, because I said, yes, I am very interested. And so we were introduced to the products, which I really will go into a little later on. I just want you all to know that over the past 50 to 60 years, over 80,000 chemicals have been added to our day-to-day use. And those chemicals can be found in all those places, in our food, in water, in detergents, the very detergents that we know as brands that we have used forever and ever, all right? But more and more things are being added to them to make them soapier, faster, more sleek. And personal care products. You all know that each time you blink and open your eyes again, there's a new product on the shelf in the supermarket. Of course, fabrics, they have to put flame retardants, otherwise they're afraid that all of us will go up in smoke. When we were young, which for me is a few years ago, cotton was cotton. You know, you literally could see that it had been grown, it had been processed out of those cotton balls that you saw in the fields, and a garment was made. But now we can't really be sure where these things are coming from. So what is wrong? Hey? I've been asking myself, what is wrong? So we are seeing changes in disease profile. In the 80s, when I studied medicine, things were pretty straightforward. And then obviously the pandemic came along called HIV. And I think that rocked our world a bit, but that's when we started seeing it while we were at medical school. And right now we're dealing with a different pandemic, but I just want to say that viruses have been around for a long time, millennia. Anyway, as a result, most people default to medication before asking why. So we are seeing that more and more medication is being used to manage more and more chronic, mainly lifestyle diseases. And I've already mentioned toxins, but I want you to just imagine that this must be adding to the toxic burden that we are dealing with. And when all can be put together, that means there's more and more inflammation. Now, I just want to do a little bit of teaching here. When we were at medical school, we were taught that when something is inflamed, inflammation, it manifests in these ways. That thing will swell, or the part of the body will swell. It will look red or reddish or become darker. There will be loss of function, and it might even become hot, okay? So there's heat, there's swelling, there's loss of function, and there is a change in color. And that is a hallmark of inflammation. So now, when we started studying about drugs and medication, we were being told how to use anti-inflammatory drugs to stop that inflammation. And I started arguing round about that time that, okay, wouldn't it make sense to ask why there is inflammation and perhaps deal with that? Well, society has gone that way in that we are now a microwave society, quick fix society. We need quick results. And it might be important to reconsider that approach. Right, so what does inflammation do? It damages the body. It really does if it is unabated. but importantly, if the body is incapable of dealing with it. So those are some of the things that can happen: memory loss and cognitive decline, increased cardiovascular risk, abnormal growth of healthy cells, which we can rename as cancer, compromised digestive function, loss of muscle tone, weight gain, accelerated skin aging, joint pains and muscle pains, and loss of mobility. Then that sounds very much like what you see on a day-to-day basis when you look around you, right? And hospital queues are just full. I just need to say that, you know, we have been given everything. We as humanity are blessed. We are blessed because we've been given all these things, literally free of charge. And these are great ways of bringing down inflammation if you know how to, and to really be wise about your lifestyle. So it's all about choice. So now I just want to talk about 7 keys to a new you. And that is just some of the choices that you can influence yourself, and also talk about hormone health and weight management. Now, why weight management? Remember I said when something is inflamed, it swells. We are seeing a lot of inflammation in the form of overweight and obesity. I want you to reconceptualize that today, that whenever you see somebody walking around with more weight than they should have, think inflammation, please. Don't think about, oh, shame, he ate too much. Well, he could have, but then there could be other causes as well, okay? So the 7 keys, just to put it out there, because these are things that you can choose. Exercise regularly, as long as it is appropriate exercise. Adequate and nutritious food. Get sunlight first thing in the morning, yeah? Switch off electronics close to bedtime. And I'm so glad that you have this meeting quite early. I tend to have some meetings in the evening, but what I've been doing is explaining that I want it short so that you have time between the meeting and your bedtime to allow the electromagnetic field exposure to subside. Proactively bring down chronic stress. Now, that is something that you will, as time goes on, understand that we are all buckling under the effects of chronic stress. Get enough sleep and ditch toxic chemicals. I just want to talk a bit about hormones, some facts about hormones, but I promised myself that I'll weave my story as I go along. So after medical school, or as I was finishing medical school, I met this amazing gentleman who happens to be my husband today. And we left the country because at that time in Uganda, things were totally upside down. You know, we had another coup d'etat, another military coup. And I just told him that, no, I was not going to stay here. And we left. And we settled in Zambia. And that's where we started working and started a family as well. So I bring that up as I'm about to speak to hormones, because yes, I believe we women on the call know that pregnancy is one way that hormones can be disrupted quite remarkably. Anyway, what are hormones? Hormones are part of the endocrine system. They are chemical messengers. The endocrine system itself comprises of glands that produce hormones, forming the body's information superhighway. In other words, the way to send messages around the information. The key glands are pituitary in the middle of the head, the thyroid in the front of the neck, the parathyroid on the thyroid, The pancreas behind the stomach that produces insulin and a lot of other hormones. The gonads, those are the ovaries and testes, they produce the sex hormones. Now, many hormonal imbalances have similar symptoms. I want you to note that. And one imbalance often results in disruption of, one imbalance often results in other hormones becoming imbalanced. So, oh gosh, sorry. So yeah, I'm sorry, there was an incoming call, I've had to stop it. So common symptoms of hormonal imbalances: changes in menstruation, erectile dysfunction, unwanted changes in libido, difficulty regulating temperature, changes in bowel habits, and persistent fatigue. So when you think about those hormones, how many people do you know who manifest all those things? And rather than asking what is going on, rather than asking why, they default to medication. So that's where I want us to, again, have a new way of looking at our health. More symptoms: mood disorders, hair growth disorders, memory disorders, memory loss and brain fog, osteoporosis, sleep disorders, unintended weight gain. I think all of us have at some point experienced some of those things. And as I pointed out, the girls on the call will know, if you're mothers, that it is such a privilege to be a mother, a big, big privilege. But how many mothers do we know who suffer from a lot of those symptoms that I've just described? You know, chronic fatigue, loss of interest in the partner and all that. So what could be going on? Well, let's look for solutions. Now, not just the women, but a lot of men, after they get married, they seem to have this propensity for their own brand of weight gain and pregnancy. And often in the African culture, we think it is a sign of affluence, don't we? When somebody lays down some weight. And we are seeing more and more and more of our men folk looking like this. And quite frankly, what we have just been through now, the season that we've been through, it has highlighted that this we have to rethink. It's nothing to do with affluence. It's nothing to do with good health. It has everything to do with inflammation, and therefore the propensity to come down with what we are hopefully recovering from during this season called the COVID pandemic. So also, ladies, you have the choice to actually prevent these problems in our menfolk. I don't want to put a heavy on you women, but I want you to understand that some of your choices could be the ones that are leading to what we are seeing very commonly as prostate problems, which ultimately could result in cancer. Now, not only that, but even in our girls, we are seeing a lot of other malignancies and other problems as well. So I hope those few pictures have painted a picture of what we need to be thinking to ourselves. It is time for action. And for all the guests on the call, I don't mean to frighten you, but I hope I have frightened you enough to get you to take action and to hear what Neolife has to offer. So this is our aim, for all of us to be happier and healthier, and to have happier and healthier communities, and nations as a whole. And I've got two visions, one for the family, obviously happy and healthier families, one for women to age gracefully, because I don't think it is right for women to give up on themselves just because they've turned 50. Life should be beginning at menopause and beyond, not ending. But then you find that invariably women are too tired, they've had their babies, they feel that their skin has sagged and they put on so much weight and they're so depressed that what's the point of being interested in life? Well, we are hoping to change that. And then for the men, I believe, gentlemen, that with healthier men, we will have healthier nations all around the world. But you see, men have to know what to do. And I have been distressed over my 36 years as a medical doctor to see men waiting for a calamity or a tragedy, such as a stroke, a heart attack, before they bring themselves forward to say, I'm going to look after my health now. Or to wait until it is absolutely invariable and inevitable before you say, maybe I should consider those nutrition supplements that my wife has been carrying on about. Well, gentlemen, it's time to take action. It is time to take action. And now, I have been hearing a lot of people saying, what's the point of using your products? They are expensive, they say. Okay? Who can we trust? Well, this article tells us that researchers found that from 2007 to about 2016, when the research was done, over 700 products on the market, marketed as dietary supplements, contained hidden active ingredients that were found to be unsafe or unstudied. I can corroborate that because, as I've told you, I spent a lot of time reading packet inserts of medications until I eventually stopped because I didn't like what I was seeing. And even a lot of the medications have a lot of stuff that maybe we need to be a bit more discerning about. So who can we trust? I just want to introduce you to these scientists. Neolife has a dedicated scientific advisory board that has been going since its inception, around about 1971. But you need to understand that Neolife as a company has been going since 1958. And this gentleman started the scientific advisory board, Dr. Arthur First. He was a top toxicologist, a top pharmacologist, a cancer researcher. He actually founded oral chemotherapy. But then he saw that a lot of the cancers that he was finding this treatment for could in fact be prevented. So at that, the sponsors said, well, you see, we would prefer to treat these cancers, please. So if you are looking for a preventative way of addressing them, perhaps you should look for another job. I've rephrased it or paraphrased it, but in effect, he left that mode of work and came across to Neolife, which, as I said, had been in existence since 1958, and revamped the whole way Neolife was working. As a result, this company is proud to say that we are so far ahead as far as nutrition and supplementation and general wellness is concerned that the second company after us is so way behind that I don't think we can actually see them. You'd be in very good hands. And the question, the prior question of who can we trust? Well, we can trust our scientific advisory board because everything about what they do has to be human natural, absolutely everything. And again, if you have ever had occasion to read labels, and look at some of the over-the-counter or supermarket bought nutrition supplements. There was a time I was mortified, shocked, when I read a label which said this was made out of pine tree bark, and it was being sold as an antioxidant. And I thought to myself, I'm sure our creator made pine tree bark to protect the pine tree from insects, not for us as human beings to eat. That is just an example. So, right, I'll tell you a bit more about myself. This isn't me, but I can do this. I'm a mother of 3 children, 3 adults now. I've got a son-in-law, and I've got 2 grandchildren, and they are my pride and joy. They don't live with me anymore, I must say. They're all independent. But how I de-stress is I do exercises such as this, Pilates, I do the yoga exercises, which I've been doing since I was at university. And this particular pose is called the warrior pose, warrior. Now, women, for our families, because if you don't fight for your families, nobody will. We have the advantage in that we are not afraid of talking. And that's the beauty about women. We love to share. But we also can find ourselves in that state of depression that I described earlier, where we are always sharing the negative, the bad news, the pain, especially if you have pain. So my observation in over 30 years that I've been working, hospital queues are full of women and their children. And as I said, the men are nowhere to be seen until it is a tragedy or a disaster or an acute something, an accident. But now, can we turn that around? Absolutely. And I think in this family, we are doing a good job of encouraging women and men, women and their families, to share good news, the good news that we have. So I'm beginning to share that good news now. Neolife was the first company on the planet to go green. In other words, to present to us cleaning products that are green or eco-friendly, 100% biodegradable, totally non-toxic, very, very economical, very efficient and very effective at what they do. They are versatile, and all those attributes are what I was looking for. And this was 26 years, more than 26, let's say 30 years ago when I started searching. So when the presentation was made to me, I did not hesitate. I just said, I am getting started, and I'm going to do more than just get started. I'm going to toss out everything I have ever bought. And that's what I did. And obviously my family were not very impressed with the wastage of money, but to this day, they think it was the best decision I've ever made to be as radical as I was. So kids will always be kids. Super 10 will clean up the mess regardless. And it is so effective. You'll hear testimonies about it. And then we have a product called G1 Laundry. Now, tradition, that's what keeps people stuck. A lot of people will argue, 2 arguments that I've heard that I want to debunk, and I want you all to debunk, please. My maid will waste it. Excuse me? You know, if you taught your maid how to use it, she would appreciate that you care for her enough to not want to keep exposing her to very toxic, corrosive other detergents. That's one argument. The other argument is that my great-grandmother used that brand, my grandmother after that, and my mother, so I'm not going to change. Again, ask why, hey? Ask why there is a rise in of overweight and obesity. Ask yourself why our children are becoming obese and getting type 2 diabetes. And then when you have answered it, you'll learn that our detergent does not have phthalates. Those are hormone disrupting chemicals. Does not have fillers that can cause allergies. And it is so efficient. It is totally biodegradable. I use this product not only in my laundry, but also in my dishwasher that I was blessed by my children with. One day they were coming home for Christmas and they said, "Ish, let's not stress mommy out with washing dishes." So they bought me a dishwasher for Christmas, which was awesome. So I use half a teaspoon of this and a squirt of LDC to wash all the dishes in a full machine, as well as just 2 or 3 scoops of this in a full load of washing. And you can actually cut back if you soak them overnight. You can even use less. So in a year, I only buy 2 bags of washing powder. Can you see the economy? But can you also see that it is saving me from laying down unnecessary weight and other issues, hormone disruption? Okay, so this is our nutrition range for the children. Neolife is brilliant in that rather than waiting for those children to fall sick and then scrambling to sort them out, which is often very late, we have their own equivalent of what we have as the core nutrition. So remember the children, they are future adults, and so they need to be nourished as well. Then, sorry, let's just go back. That is the core nutrition for adults. Pro Vitality is an amazing product. It has 4 items in there. And let's just give you a close-up. Threonine. That is what was processed out of our food at the turn of the last century. That is what our bodies need to create normal cells that are permeable and that allow nutrients in and waste matter out. Those oils in there are extracts of whole grain oils. And a lot of people say, well, I eat whole wheat bread. Yes, but even that whole wheat bread, those oils have to be taken out. Otherwise, the farmer would, or rather the owner of the store would be throwing out bread on a daily basis. And that is what caused me to ask why. Why is modern bread not going moldy? I asked myself that question. And so I was searching for the answer, and it was answered by Neolife. So they give us this. And then in addition, fish. We need to eat omega-3 oils because our current diet has been made in such a way that we are getting too many inflammatory oils and not enough anti-inflammatory oils. The good ratio is 1:1, or at most 1:5. But in today's diet, the anti-inflammatory to pro-inflammatory fats are 1 to as much as even 25. So there's too much inflammation, and that is what is causing a challenge with our health. So omega-3 is important if you want to lose weight, if you want to protect your heart and joints, omega-3. Then carotenoid complex. A lot of people don't eat enough fruit and vegetables. They might think that they are, but you know, we all think that we are doing a good job, but amazingly, we are not. So that's one thing to consider as well. And then vitamins and minerals. So when this packaging was introduced to the market, I must say I was very privileged to be on the panel of the doctors that were asked to introduce it way back then. In those years, we had individual items, which we still do, or we had a packet which just had these 3, and then they made it into 4. Right, so let me just zero in on omega-3 very quickly, and then I'll wind up so that I can look at the questions in the chat. Omega-3 fatty acids, why are they so important? They regulate cellular function. They help to fight disease by reducing inflammation in blood vessels, joints, nervous system, and elsewhere in the body. They're the building blocks of anti-inflammatory agents, and they bring inflammation down to an end. You'll learn that from this presentation today. The near-life difference is that ours is complete. It is the only salmon oil plus, product that has all the 8 omegas that are available in nature. It's very much like trying to play the piano with some keys missing, or you hoping to get to the top of this ladder, but the bottom ladder rungs are not there. It won't happen. So near-life difference has been shown to actually reduce the inflammatory index by 68% in as short a time as 6 to 8 weeks. And that is just to show that all the 8 omegas are available in our product. So for the guests, if there's one thing that you will think about is omega-3 among all our products. That's what it does. Heart health, controls inflammation. I'm just emphasizing it because I thought it would be my star product for today. And it supports healthy eyes and brain function. So it is important in pregnancy, ladies. The amazing thing is, if you look on the shelves in some stores, some omega products warn women not to use them during pregnancy. That should get you to think. But fish oil, because it is from fish, many companies don't look for toxins. Near Life will test for over 200 toxins and make sure that there is none whatsoever. There is a 0 tolerance for toxins. That's the policy. And so it is absolutely required in pregnancy. Right, so back to the core nutrition. I want to now talk about the importance of the protein that we have. It's actually supplies us all 22 amino acids, and it goes further than that, gives us fiber, it gives us vitamins and minerals, and it also helps to regulate the glycemic response. That means the blood sugar response. And once that is happening, insulin does not spike very, very high and cause challenges. So this is one good way of bringing down inflammation as well, because insulin, when it is too high as a result of the food you've eaten, can cause quite a lot of inflammation, and it can cause laying down of that fat that we saw in those pictures previously. So Near Life provides us all 22 amino acids, and it maintains muscle mass. Remember, that was one of the things that can happen with too much inflammation. There is loss of muscle mass. Simply because the body is trying to protect itself, it will break down tissue that it thinks can be disposed of in order to create what it requires. So to avoid that unnecessary breakdown, you need to supplement, you need to supply what the body requires. So we can, with all confidence, say that Near Life will provide us all those things. There is no high fructose corn syrup. That is one of the most damaging things. So please read your labels. It can be found in your favorite tomato sauce, your favorite mayonnaise, your cool drinks, all those things. And it has led to more people developing fatty liver than anything else, this particular item there. It also spikes insulin wildly and will cause problems. So let's look at very quickly at the minerals. Calcium and magnesium, very, very important. And we have double amino acid chelation, which improves absorption quite remarkably, in which case, rather than giving a high amount of calcium, such as 1.5 grams, which is so much, and then expecting only a little bit to be absorbed, we have 300 milligrams, and almost all of it is absorbed because of this technology that was pioneered by the gentleman who started the Scientific Advisory Board, Dr. Arthur First. So chelation is important, and that's what our minerals have, that technology to enhance absorption. Minerals generally are poorly absorbed. So it also helps not to irritate the stomach, and it is dispersed and used correctly around the body so that your bones will grow well. And when you reach menopause, you won't lose bone. Remember I said osteoporosis as one of those things that shows hormonal imbalance? Well, as long as you have the right amount of building materials for your bones, you're doing well. So we have magnesium on its own. We also have zinc. And I bring zinc up just to promote, to let you know that for our men folk, prostate health has to be taken seriously, please. Okay, but it's also very important in the immune system. Very, very important for immunity. And then we have other products that we call phytonutrients, nutrients from plants. These are very, very special nutrients that one cannot lump them as vitamins and minerals. They are phytonutrients. And that's what Neolife has been a pioneer and absolute leader in. Now, this particular one I've highlighted, cruciferous, because it enhances detoxification. Now, it's so important to make sure that you are detoxifying regularly. A lot of people find it quite normal to go for number 2 or to the toilet to 2 or 3 times a week. That is not normal. That is absolutely not normal. So when you get yourself nourished, you will see that your detox mechanisms will start to work better. And that will also promote hormonal balance, which I have talked about. And then for the ladies, I have this one, Feminine Herbal Complex. This was actually a talk aimed at everybody, but especially for the ladies, with the preamble that we hold the health of our families in our hands by the way we choose. So I want ladies to use this product regularly because of what it can help you do. At some point, we all might have some fluid retention and bloating, or cramps and spasms. Some people may have issues with fertility. And of course, when you reach a more advanced age, hot flashes, and you may want to regularize your cycles. So this is a very good product. It's a herbal product. We have the male equivalent in your markets. We don't necessarily have it here. Okay, so it will help with low mood, low vitality, and anxiety, so that you can genuinely say, praise the Lord, we have made it through another month. And that is what you can get from this opportunity, because there is a business attached to it. We are not going to go through that today, or at least I'm not, but there is a business opportunity. So women, can you see that we can change the health trajectory, not only of ourselves personally, but of entire nations, starting with our families, and then moving progressively into the neighborhood. I like to say that there is absolutely no benefit to have sick neighbors around you. There is no benefit, obviously, to have a husband that is not 100% healthy. There is no benefit to yourself if you cannot give of your best. So get into the habit of giving from the overflow and get yourself healthy. Thank you very much. I'll hand over to you now.
Thank you so much, Dr. ESEZA. That has been very powerful, very educational. And I know that the people on the call are going to benefit a great deal. I just want to hand over to Fred to just sample 1 or 2 questions that you can answer for us before you leave us. And we just want to thank you so much for being with us. I'm sure the people on the call have really benefited. Fred Geshoki, over to you to just ask 1 or 2 questions that could be on the chat, that could be pressing, that Dr. ESEZA could address before we leave. Thank you very much. Fred?
Okay, maybe I can ask a question first. Dr. How often should one use either masculine or feminine herbal complex in a year? Is it okay to take, can one take it every month, or how should one take it?
Okay, you know, there is no harm in taking it as advised. 1 tablet in the morning, 1 tablet in the evening, no harm. I found when I was going through my change of life, by the way, I'm in my 60s, so it happened a few years ago that I went through the menopause. I used it 1 in the morning, 1 in the evening, and it really helped. And my husband gives the testimony that if anybody was helped most, it was himself, because I wasn't snapping as one can do during that time. But now what I do, I take it occasionally when I feel I absolutely have to. I always have some on me, but sometimes I take it in the evening, or if I feel particularly stressed. So unlike drugs where they're by prescription, this is actually more by how you are feeling within yourself. And you can reach yourself at a level where you say, I feel stable now because I'm doing my Pilates and yoga and exercises, and I'm flexible, and there are no children to stress me out anymore. They're very far away. So I'm calm, you see. So your situation is different. My situation might be different. But I have watched our leader, Charlie Bolton, okay? And I was so impressed with him. And we jokingly say in our house that, Uncle Charlie eats his PV. He totally eats his PV. There's nothing wrong with that. He just takes a lot of supplements, so, because he can. So what I generally advise people is to start with the core nutrition. And as you're making money, add and keep adding and keep adding. I think I've used all the products that as they come out. I test them first so that I know how to advise afterwards.
Okay, thank you for that. I saw a question on the call. Somebody was asking about varicose veins. What solution would be available for that?
Okay, varicose veins. Let's first ask why. Remember, that's my hashtag ask why. A varicose vein or formation of varicose veins means that the structure of the veins is weak, okay? So work backwards. What is causing weakness in that structure? Maybe there's too much pressure. Maybe the person has been pregnant or has a increased abdominal pressure. Maybe they stand all day, and maybe they don't exercise enough, because the veins depend on the pumping action of the muscles to convey blood back towards the heart. Maybe the structure is so weak because the collagen has been badly formed, or there is not enough raw materials to build the collagen, which is the cement in our bodies, right? So I like to remind people that vitamin C stands for cement, which stands for collagen. Vitamin C cannot be retained in our bodies, or it cannot be made in the human body, unlike the hamster and other animals, dogs and hamsters. They can make their vitamin C, we cannot. So you need to supply it. Now, because it's not retained in the body, if you're not supplying it regularly, your body will prioritize. That's how we are made, to prioritize. And I'm going to actually give a good example of that as well. So if it needs to prioritize, it will say, okay, we're going to literally rob from Peter to pay Paul. And so it will steal a bit of this to keep what it feels is important, like the adrenal glands, which run on vitamin C, okay? So that you can at least have some stress response. And if it is chronic stress, we need to pray that it isn't, okay? But that's what happens. So then it will say, okay, these veins look like they're just sitting here. He isn't even exercising. So we'll steal from there and we won't send the collagen building material in that direction. Then before you know it, they're ballooning up and varicose veins happen. The other example I wanted to say very quickly is almost not connected, but I like to connect dots. That's my other pastime in this profession. You know, a lot of women complain of infertility, and men and women. But if there is overwhelming stress, again, the body will prioritize. And it will say to itself, if this couple is this stressed, how in the world are they going to rear a child? So let us sort of like tone down their reproductive capability until the stress lifts, because then everything else is being diverted into making stress hormones. There is nothing left over to make progesterone, for example, which is the pregnancy enhancing hormone. So, ladies and gentlemen, the point of all this long story is that if your body has what it needs, it knows what to do, including repairing, or preventing is better, preventing the formation of varicose veins. Okay.
Okay, thank you so much for that answer, Dr. I think you're going to come to the end of the session, and I just wanted to invite Mr. Mulavu to say a last word as we close this session. Charles, are you there?
Thank you very much, Fred. I think this was awesome. It was just awesome. I want to take this opportunity to thank time to pour out your knowledge to you didn't spare anything. So thank you so much, ESEZA. Again, we want to thank you, Dr. ESEZA, because I know you are a very busy person, and today you have quite a number of other sessions that you run, but you spared your time to be with us to train us. And I must say that we can now make informed choices, and that was your topic today. We have information, we now know, we can now make the right choices. I also want to thank Fred Gishuki, who actually is the host for these sessions on Sunday, for allowing us to host Dr. ESEZA today, and to help the other distributors and guests with information that I'm sure will help us to use the products better, to live a better and healthier life. For the guests on the call, please turn to the person who invited you, talk to them. Remember that over and above the health and the products that Dr. ESEZA has talked about, she has also mentioned that there is a business opportunity. So talk to the person who invited you. They should be able to guide you and to help you in better using the products and also taking advantage of the business opportunity. From South Africa, thank you everybody spent time just participating in this call. And I think that will be all for today. We'll see you again next time as we continue to empower you with information that will help you live a healthier and happier life. Thank you, and see you, Dr. ESEZA and the other members. Bye for now.